It's the lonesome cry of the whippoorwill in the early morning dawn, and the gobbles of a longbeard answering the calls of a barred owl. Redbuds peeking out, and the dogwoods in all their glory, glistening in the mid-morning sun. These are the sights and sounds that tell each turkey enthusiast that spring gobbler season has begun. Traveling from state to state, the Knight Hale team encounter ample opportunity to witness firsthand the wonderful changes that nature offers as the forest awakens from its dormant nap. Beginning their journey in mid-March, our team traveled to Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, and Alabama in hopes of filming that phantom of the forest performing his favorite rendition of courtship to a willing companion. Fanning his tail, strutting his stuff, and ferocious gobbling are what makes the Knight Hale boys spend countless hours in the field, hoping to capture this grand experience on video to share with even the most casual observer. However, this didn't come easily. During the 1997 season, 3 major factors caused the level of difficulty to rise. Turkey hunters across the country experienced cool weather, henned-up gobblers, and open terrain. Each of these obstacles were brought on by a winter that would not let go. As April arrives, the boys travel the central United States, where they try their luck in Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, and Indiana. In all 4 states, the experience is the same: a lack of gobbling, a lot of hens, and dogwoods in full bloom for 4 to 5 weeks. Looking for things to improve, the month of May finally arrives. The Knight Hale team head to Illinois, South Dakota, and Wisconsin to find the same obstacles there. Nothing came easily, although persistence did make it happen in each state. In spite of this non-traditional spring, our team was able to capture 28 beautiful hunts, in which 17 were chosen to make the Ultimate Spring 4 video our best year. Encompassing 70-plus days, the team collected their best footage ever. Capturing the magnificent courtship of wild turkeys on video is the driving force for the Knight Hale team as they travel state to state. So sit back and enjoy their 1997 version of Gobbling Fantails.
Chuck, if y'all help me, we'll get these logs up a lot quicker.
Well, I thought I was dragging logs. I didn't.
No, I've got this little pile up. Y'all could give me a hand.
What in the world are you going to do with these?
Well, these already been hewed out. No telling how old they are, and I'm fixing to fix my wife a nice little rail fence around her little flower garden.
Well, bless your heart.
Harold, what are you back there in that old cabin doing? Reminding yourself the old days when you used to make whiskey? I mean, when your folks come from old land between the lakes and you was looking for steel, wasn't you?
I tell you what, I didn't find no steel or no evidence of one, but I seen a fireplace back there in them old logs reminding me some old days. But look here, I want you to look at this pencil. You look how short they used that pencil down. Now then, a lead pencil like that, they never sharpen it down that short. Them
About
people
2
conservative.
sharpenings and they trade it for another one.
Hell, that's older than you are.
You reckon?
That's right.
Well, that's an old pencil then.
What do you think the odds are that Pam will have a flower garden next spring?
With a rail fence?
If it's in the spring and turkey season, I'd lay big odds.
Now, David says that he's building a flower garden for his wife out of these.
If it's in the springtime, he's not. If it is, he's changed. He's a changed David Hale.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I didn't anticipate building it in the spring. With you guys' help, as feeble as it is, I'm going to build it now so that I can get to turkey hunt a little more in the spring.
You've always turkey hunt, David.
I said a little more.
Okay. All right.
Well, you know, speaking of turkey hunting, this past spring, we hunted for 60-something days, and that was about 15 days longer than I really anticipated having to do. And we went almost from the Atlantic to the, well, it wasn't Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico to the Canadian border to accomplish what we did. But I'll have to say, even though it was a tough year, it may have been one of my enjoyable years for making this video.
Well, it certainly was a different year for me. You know, I believe turkeys stayed with the gobblers in every state we hunted this year longer. We never hunted a state, and we hunted some of them the first of the season, we hunted some of them the last of the season. There was hens with the gobblers every day we hunted.
Boy, it's fun hunting them easy turkeys this year. Well,
Yeah, you know, one of the things that's been, I don't tell how many phone calls we get from different folks says, y'all ought to come up here and hunt my turkeys. I got a private place. I don't think there's a private place in the United States. If it is, I hadn't found it.
we've been there, hadn't we?
We've been there. And, you know, it's amazing how, especially in states where it's fairly new turkey hunting, folks want to get out before season and call to these turkeys and build their confidence. And, man, you talking about some educated turkeys.
We had lots of high-pressure turkeys this year.
This ought to have been titled the High Pressure Turkey Video.
You know, we hunted a lot of places, especially up north, like Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois stick out in my mind. There's a lot of open country, and those turkeys get smart real fast. They accept pressure immediately.
They get educated quicker when they see
I've never
people
seen
like that.
anything like it.
Well, you know, one of the things that I think that folks are going to really enjoy about this video, we have loaded it up with tips on how to handle hen-up turkeys, high-pressure turkeys, turkeys that won't gobble, and I think anybody that turkey hunted last spring experienced just about this same thing.
You're right.
And you know what? We experienced it just about from Mississippi all the way to Wisconsin.
You know, Dave, we got to use a lot of different people in this video, too. You know, a lot of them killed the first turkey on video, and we had a lot of our pro staff that helped us out, and a lot of them we did get to use, hope to use in future. You know, we had a lot of help.
Well, there's no question we did. And folks, I feel very comfortable that you're going to enjoy our 4th edition of the Ultimate Spring Turkey Hunting. And in the meantime, while we're looking at that, I'm going to try to get these guys to help me pack these logs so that I can get to hunt a whole lot more next spring.
Here, I'll hold this one while y'all get that.
I got to have some help here, boy.
That's what I figured.
These 3 hunts are what we call our blooper and blunder segment, which is usually caused by a lack of communication between the hunter and the cameraman. Even though it didn't seem very funny to us while videoing the hunt, it can be pretty entertaining for our viewers. Let's see what happens as we join Walter Parrott and his wife Linda as she pursues a Missouri gobbler. This looks like a perfect hunt in the making, but Linda doesn't hear the shoot signal from the cameraman. Plus, she can't move with that gobbler looking her in the eyes. Videoing is tough. Everyone has a job to do. And guess what? Wild turkeys weren't hatched in Hollywood.
About 2 minutes at the most.
I kept
bet.
waiting for you to shoot, and I was hoping he'd come over on the right side of the ridge to you.
Well, I was set up for if he came over to the right because you said you thought he might come down that ridge. But then he came to the left, and I was able to move on him when he got behind those. There's like 3 or 4 trees in front of me. But then once he got over, and I knew Chuck was down my gun barrel, and he was so close, and I couldn't get any further over to the left. And I was hoping you were on him.
Well, I was.
Harold and David have done what they do best, maneuvered a big gobbler into gun range. These southern temperatures are hot here at Cane Mount Plantation, and these boys know turkeys will seek relief from the heat once the sun comes up. An old pine plantation offers excellent shade and a cool breeze for this gobbler and his harem. It's what we at Knight and Hale call a strut zone. It took half an hour for this gobbler to get clear of his hens. David has cut the camera on and off so much that when he told Harold to shoot, he didn't realize the camera was not recording. Another example of what can go wrong filming. Oh well, at least Harold has a nice gobbler.
Buddy, you shot too quick on me.
I tell you what, I apologize. I thought you said shoot.
You know, I listened back to it. I did say shoot, but I meant to say shoot when I told you to. But, you know, that was some hunt. Now, we've had turkeys up here in front of us. I got them strutting. This particular gobbler here came in with all these hens and gobblers, and one of those old boss gobblers run him off, and he come out here and he walked right by you, and you had a chance to kill him 4 or 5 times at 30 yards.
Oh, yeah, but, you know, I was waiting for the signal, and then I'll end up not and getting the wrong signal.
I'm telling you, this is pitiful, but we got some great footage.
Now, let's take you to Wisconsin, where David, Harold, and cameraman Tony Hurt are in the process of calling this lonesome gobbler all the way across a wide open field. With David on the gun and Harold doing the calling and no obstacles in the way, you wouldn't think this longbeard has a chance. This old longbeard would have easily come to within yards of David for an easy shot. But as luck would have it, Tony is about to run out of tape in the camera. So with about a minute of tape time left, he gives David the signal to shoot. With the turkey about 40 yards out, it's now or never.
But run out tape.
Let's join Walter Parrott for a turkey hunting tip, brought to you by Realtree Outdoor Products.
You beginners, this is a great time of the year for you to start out. What you need to do is go to your friend's house, go to your sporting goods store, and pick yourself up a friction call, because they are the easiest to use, plus they're the most realistic sounding call there is on the market. The first one I'm going to show you is a little push pin call. You simply push the little dial at the end, makes great little yelps. Easy to use, great turkey sounds. As far as maintenance goes on this call, you simply flip your lid back, put a little brown chalk on it, and it's ready to go. The reason we like to use brown chalk is because white chalk or blue chalk are colors of a turkey's head. We don't want to create a dangerous situation in the woods. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is a box call. The way you use this call is hold it simply in your offhand and use your fingers out on this outer edge of this call right here so it doesn't distort the sound of it. The sound chamber is there. You have the lid. You simply slide it across the sound chamber. You never lift the lid from the edge of the call and just let it reach its own yelps. As you're sliding the lid across the sound chamber, all you're worried about is your rhythm. Actually, the less pressure you put on the lid, the raspier the call gets. Okay, you've heard a lot of callers talk about cutting. That's something a hen does in the spring when she's excited. You simply just whack the edge of the lid against the lip or the edge of the sound chamber. Practice on your rhythm. There again, the chalk we use is brown. We don't want to use the white or the blue.
David is at Cane Mount Plantation, where he spooked a lone gobbler out of a field while driving to another area that he'd planned to hunt. Now his plans will change. This bird may not relate to a vehicle in danger. David drove several hundred yards past the turkey to another field and hid the truck. In this situation, it's always good to give the turkey a little time to settle down before you start calling.
He's not right out here in this field, but I bet you he's coming to it. It's been about 15 minutes since we scared him out of that other field over yonder, and you know what? This is a good example right here, and I believe this wholeheartedly. Most people think when they scare a turkey, if they drive up on him and he flushes out of the field, he doesn't associate that with danger. This is a great opportunity right here to see if we can call this turkey up. And by the way, those crows are picking at something right down here, and I got a feeling he's headed this way. So what do you say we set up right here? I'm going to try my little push-pull and see if we can't call this turkey up.
These are characteristics of an old sharp-spurred gobbler. Very little strutting and a lot of looking. Don't ever try to move on a bird like this until his head goes completely behind some sort of cover. A good tip for hunting public land is cover lots of ground, do some prospective calling from high listening points, and when you find a gobbler, make sure he gives more than one courtesy gobble before you set up on him. That's the scenario for Joe Drake and Chuck at 10 a.m. on this particular morning.
Sound like they're 500-600 yards now.
Yeah, but
Truck's up there a couple hundred yards, isn't it?
They're probably 200 yards anyway. If they're not coming already. That's what I'm scared of.
Looks like a good little bottom. You'll try it right here. You'll just back up here.
Another tip is to let your hunting companion move back 40 to 60 yards and call. High-pressured public land turkeys will often come to the peak of gun range and hang up. This technique can help you take a bird home.
One of your techniques in an area like that is getting a truck and drive around. You said, we're going to ride till we find a turkey. You got out, and what, you hit those turkeys 3 or 4 times before they answered you?
Yeah, it's just, like you say, late up in the morning and they wasn't fired up. You know, the first hour is probably best gobbling, and once they get away and get out in their little feeding routine, if they're not with hens, you know, and even if they are with hens, they, you know, it takes them a little bit to get started, and we fired them up pretty good and cut to them pretty good and told them the right stuff, evidently.
Yep. Now, you told me, you said, you know, the turkey answered the first time. You sat there a minute. You said, I'm going to call to him again. He said, if he don't answer twice, we ain't going to it.
Yeah, we'll find another one. I hunt public land all over, you know, and a lot of them will give you a courtesy gobble.
and that's what we call it. That's about all he's going to do is gobble one time, and then he's through.
The old David Hale shock gobble, he calls. He shock gobble, let's go find a nut, and that's it.
Now here's Joe Drake with a turkey hunting tip, brought to you by Triton Boats by Earl Bentz.
One of the best ways that we locate up into the day turkeys is we cut to them. What we do is ride the roads and find a good advantage spot where the call will echo out into the woods a pretty good piece. And if you got your hunting buddy with him, what you want to do before you start calling is move him on out there about 12, 15 steps from you. In case that turkey's a pretty good ways and he's gobbling at you, you won't hear him if you're calling, but he can hear him if he's that far away from you. So what you do is get you a call. This is a Walter Parrott 3.5 select cutter. It's got a lot of backbone into the call, and you can really get into it and put a lot of pressure, get a lot of volume out of it. Really put some pressure on the call. If you can get that higher pitch out of it, that's what you want. Sometimes that'll make that old turkey gobble. Another call we like to use is a friction call. It's an aluminum call. It's made by Knight Hale Game Calls. It's a new Silver Queen. It's got a tone to it all its own. It'll make that turkey gobble when nothing else will, it seems like. You can get on it. You can start out slow, do some aggressive cutting with it, and then bring it right into your excited yelps. Really get excited with it. And sometimes that'll get that old turkey gobble when nothing else will.
This hunting tip has been brought to you in part by Buckwing Products, keeping you dry, comfortable, and concealed. Joe Drake and his son Tom are a turkey hunting duo that spend lots of time in the spring woods together. They heard a gobbler way down in a big bottom. Now they're moving in for the hunt. These boys like to get as close to a gobbler as they can before they set up. Joe likes to get aggressive with his calling. Lots of times, a 2 or 3 year old gobbler will get fired up and come right on in. With Dad 50 yards behind doing the calling, this gobbler walks right in, and Tom introduces him to Winchester's supreme turkey load. Up in the morning, when the peak gobbling has slowed down, Joe Drake will patiently move through areas that he knows gobblers are frequenting and use a locator call to shock a gobble from a longbeard. Joe moves as close as possible, then gives the gobbler some excited hen calls. Joe's an aggressive caller, and if the turkey is responsive, his style can be very effective. Now that these birds have made the commitment to come in, our hunter will soften his calls to imitate a contented hen. Grassy areas like this are excellent for hens to nest in. Gobblers know that, so they won't be far away. Even though Joe is an aggressive caller, he knows when to be silent and make the gobblers look for the hen.
once you get them in here close or out there about 50, 60 yards, you want to bring them on in that other 20 yards to make sure that you got that sure clean kill. You can tone this call down, do your soft purrs and soft hen yelps, seductive stuff, and bring them right on in. I tell you what, Walter Parrott's 3.5 call is hard to beat.
Pro staffer Van Watham is being introduced to Georgia turkey hunting by Trip Mitchell and Joe Drake. These guys think they have an easy gobbler right off the roost. When the old bird flies down and goes the other way, the boys have to move. Several turkeys started gobbling off in the distance, so these hunters move into that area to try their luck.
He's got a big gobbler right. He's gobbling out of here. All right, we go up this road to the field right here. And he's been gobbling all back in here. We need to set up those two turkeys back at this place.
With Van and Joe calling, you would think every gobbler in the woods would come running.
We ended up moving 3 times on those turkeys, and finally, y'all said, let's just move right in the middle of them, and we did, and had turkeys all around us, and y'all mixed your calling up, a lot of aggressive yelping.
When they're hammered against each other like that, you know, it's just, that's the best place to be, right in the middle of them.
It's just a matter of time. If you just, you know, patience plays a major role when you're in a situation like this.
Now let's join Van Watham with another turkey hunting tip, brought to you by Winchester Safes, legendary American security.
Dan, you know, you've been on Knight Hale's pro staff now for several years, and you've been quite successful in your competition calling, and a lot of people know you're a competition caller, but I know you're somebody that sounds like a wild turkey hen and somebody that likes to turkey hunt and is a good turkey hunter. And, you know, we've come out with a new turkey call this year that you've helped design, and you might want to tell the viewing audience just exactly what that call consists of, and I want you to demonstrate for us here, too.
Well, it's Harold, it's called the Venom V3. And I've been working on this call for probably, gosh, 5 or 6 years. I started turkey calling back in 1989, and I just didn't find anything over the market that I really was satisfied with. And I started experimenting with different thicknesses of latex and different cuts and stretches, and I just started building my own calls. And I started taking a recorder to the woods with me a lot and recording hens, and I just tried to pattern this call after certain hens that I had heard. And, you know, I think there's certain hens that just really turn on an old gobbler more than others. You know, that I like that smooth to rasp sound that an old hen does when she really cranks and snaps that call.
Well, this call yelps good.
This call is a yelper's call. It's a good cutter, it's a good yelper, and it's got that snap to it that an old hen has. It's not just a dead rasp call.
Why don't you demonstrate that call
All right.
for us here? I know you've been very stingy with these calls the last few years.
Well, I've had people ask me for them a lot, you know, and of course you don't want to give away all your secrets, but you can't live forever with a secret either. So I thought it was time to bring it out and let people have
I want you to yelp with this call,
call
and then cut with this call.
All right. Now you'll notice when I start this call, what I really like about this call, I can start it off really soft with a whiny start to that yelp, and what you're doing is you're working on that back reed, and this call is set back. I've set this latex back in this call enough that you can get your tongue back on that latex and give that whiny start to that yelp I'm talking about. And then as you begin to work in that V, that top reed, you begin to get the snap and the yelp out of it, or the rasp out of it.
Dan, I noticed the cuts on this 3 reed is totally different from the cuts on some of the 3 reeds that I've used before.
They are. It's just something that I stumbled onto, Harold. Like I said, I experimented with so many calls and different cuts, and that's just something that I stumbled onto that really works. And one of the V's is more open than the other.
I noticed that.
And one of the main things about the call is the stretch on the latex and the way that it's set back in the frame. It makes it easier to blow.
And they're all handmade.
They are all hand-tuned, handmade.
Folks,
yes, they are.
I think we have got a winner here.
This turkey hunting tip has been brought to you in part by Outlaw Decoys, the world's most effective decoys. Walter Parrott and longtime friend Mike Hanback are on their first turkey hunt together. They chased some Tennessee gobblers earlier, but the birds headed for some big fields. A little repositioning has gotten these boys in front of the turkeys. It's amazing what kind of response your calling gets when you get in the right place. Walter has good success using a friction call and a diaphragm at the same time. After all, 2 hens is always better than 1. Here's a good tip. Always pay attention to your surroundings. While calling the turkeys in front of Mike, 3 other gobblers slipped in from the side, forcing Mike to reposition his gun.
Shoot that turkey. I tell you what, if we can get him quick enough, we can still got time to go catch us some mess of fish.
That's a wheat field. Is that a wheat field? Got clover in it.
That's got clover in it. That's got wheat and clover. Look out there for him. Look out.
There's 4 big gobblers.
I see a Jake.
Yeah, it looks like a couple jakes, and it's a hen. Looks like. Is that a hen with her?
Looks like it. Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. We're not gonna call them turkeys back here.
Let me tell you what we can do, Harold. There's a big old clear-cut area up there, logging area.
Yeah.
And there's a road that goes up around on the other side of that field. I believe if we go around and get in front of them,
Okay.
we might be able to call them up.
All right,
coming up that road.
Let's get out here. Let's go back around this way and make a big circle.
Yeah, let's do that. Go ahead, I'll follow you.
You know, there's no substitute for knowing your hunting land. Earl Bentz of Triton Boats knows every inch of this property.
Right off on the end of this thing, there's an old road that comes up around there. I believe they're going to come right up this ridge.
All right, hold it right there. Let me make a little call to see what we. Listen, you listen.
There he is. There he is, right there. Let's go. Come on, let me tell you what now. We gotta stay low on this side of this thing over here because they're right across that hill.
That old hen is nervous, but Earl knows if he stays still, She'll walk on by and the gobblers will follow. Now this can get your heart racing. Man, what a hunt.
Well, I'll tell you, boys, that was a good turkey. I don't know how in the world you managed to pick out which one you was going to shoot. When they came around that bend down there was 4 gobblers I was looking at. A hen had spied us.
Oh, I know it. The hen told on us and looked like a jake or something up in front of them, and then there were...
Was the hen in front or behind?
Well, I guess that younger gobbler came by first, and then when he turned the corner right there, I thought he was a dead giveaway the way it was set up. And,
you know, that you try to call the jakes and the hens up a lot of times. Where they go, most of the time the gobblers are following.
But
Well,
you know what?
they were
Anytime,
following, too.
there's one thing you need to remember. Anytime you get turkeys up close like that, the hens and jakes are going to be in front. You got to let them pass you.
Oh, and they can see.
If they ever see you, they're going right back to those gobblers.
Yeah.
And that hen turned him once and just made a twist in the road. You remember that? And I said,
Yeah.
Lord, let her go by the other way.
All right, Harold, these turkeys have been feeding out here in this little clover field. I think I heard him gobble right over yonder a while ago, about 300 or 400 yards below you. Crow call right here and see if you can get him to answer.
Let me blow.
There he is. Come on.
That's him, wasn't it?
That's him. Come on. Here. Now, he ain't answered a call worth a dime this morning. That means he's gonna have a bunch of hens with him.
I tell you what, we don't need to do a lot of closing yet. We need to get as close as we can to that turkey. Reckon they'll come out in this field?
Yeah, they gonna probably come out in this little clover field up here. Blow a crow call one more time. Let's see what he says. See if we can pinpoint exactly where he's at.
I couldn't hardly hear him blowing there.
He cut in on you. Okay, now Harold, what I'm gonna do? Let's slip right up the edge of this little old field up here. There's a little old cedar thicket right yonder.
Yeah.
I want you to ease right up behind it, and we're gonna wait these turkeys out. Because I guarantee you're not gonna call that turkey up. They
No,
loaded with
he-
hens this
he
time of year.
He's got, I thought I heard the hens cutting earlier this morning with him.
I tell you, you gonna mind if I do a little calling if I get him up here?
No, I don't care. Do whatever you got to do.
All right, won't you go up right there?
When a gobbler is hemmed up, you'd better figure out where the hens are going. Usually it'll be some sort of food source. The kind of scouting Harold and David have done in this area can really pay off. Harold can't move a muscle. Maybe those hens will settle down and walk back to the gobbler.
Boy, you got a good one, didn't you, son?
Man, that's a good one. That's a heavy turkey.
Good
That
gracious
turkey weighed
alive.
23 pounds full. Look what spurs he's got.
I ain't sure you ain't got a double beard. No, it's not a double beard. My lands. What a turkey.
That's an old turkey.
Now there's the reason why he wasn't gobbling. And he had all he wanted out there with all them hens, didn't he?
That turkey didn't hardly gobble in this morning. You know what we did, though? I'll have to give you credit. You picked a dang good place there to come.
Well, these turkeys have been around 8:30, 9 o'clock, been hitting these little old clover fields.
Where them hens go, them gobblers gonna go too, ain't they?
That's exactly what they're gonna do.
Here's Harold Knight with a turkey hunting tip, brought to you by Mossberg, for shotguns as solid as the people who own them.
One of the most common questions asked to me by turkey hunters is, how do you hunt a henned up gobbler or a high pressured gobbler? You know, I'd like to start with a high pressured gobbler, and it's tough. You know, you got to use different techniques totally than you would just a turkey that hadn't had any pressure put on him. You know, one of the things I like to address first is what makes a turkey high pressure. You know, I think just pure old hunting pressure does that as much as anything. You know, if you ever call a turkey up and you scare him, he sees you, I'll guarantee the next time that turkey's going to be harder to call up. And if you ever call up one and shoot at him and miss him, it's almost impossible to call him up the next time. You've got to do something totally different. Some things I like to do on high pressure turkeys is I like to call to them a lot softer than I would if it's in the first of the season where they hadn't any pressure put on them. I like to use a slate call, a little mouth diaphragm, and I'd like to demonstrate those here right now. And you can take something like a little slate call here with this little Ultimate Striker on it, which you can work in wet weather, and you can give a real soft yelp. Normally I'd get a lot louder than this, but you got to remember these turkeys has been hunted in high pressure, and I want to make a real soft sound. I like to make that sound like it's further away than what it really is. And you remember, I've heard that old turkey gobble, and I'm not going to give him much. A lot of times I'll do that with some leaf scratching. Leaf scratching is very important on these high pressure gobblers. This is something these turkeys hadn't maybe had thrown to him, and he said, hey, that might be the real thing. Let me get over a little closer. Another thing is I think a lot of people overlook is a mouth call blowing it extremely soft and turning her head. Lots of times I'll take a mouth call and I'll just put it in my mouth. It doesn't matter a lot of times if it's a single reed, double reed, triple reed, or four reed. This happened to be a four reed. You can get soft with most any mouth call if you'll just muffle it down, not let the sound come out like this. I don't like to give him any louder than that, and I don't like to give him a lot of calling. Something I think is really, really overlooked in high-pressure gobblers is using a call that doesn't imitate the mating sound. I like to use something that imitates the fighting sound, because I think a live turkey hen a lot of times would have a problem calling up a high-pressure gobbler. But I think that a fighting sound would call up one a lot of times when he didn't want to come to a mating call, but he'd come to that fight. You know, most anything likes to come around a fight. And this is what we're trying to imitate here. It might be hens fighting, it might be gobblers fighting, but they like to be around that fight. And it's very simple to use this call if you can just work it. I've had a lot of high pressure gobblers come to that when I know I couldn't have called them up with a regular little hen call. You know, something else on high pressure gobblers I noticed that really works is a decoy. You know, we use the outlaw decoy. A lot of times it's a little silhouette, it's easy to carry. A lot of times I like that because I can put 3 or 4 of them out in the field. And I think a lot of these high pressure gobblers comes to that and would come to that where they wouldn't come to that one decoy. So, you know, this is just some tips on high pressure gobblers I want you to try. But on, you know, on henned up gobblers, I do a lot of the same thing, especially the fighting call. You know, an old gobbler that's henned up, has got lots of hens with him, he'll come to that fighting call a lot of times when he won't come to another hen call. He'll also come to a decoy a lot of times when he wouldn't come to a hen call. But when these turkeys are henned up, a lot of times I get louder. I call a little louder when they're henned up. And I'll tell you something else is if you can hunt in the afternoon, that's a good time to hunt henned up gobblers. My favorite time to hunt henned up gobblers, I'd like to take a scenario like I was out in the morning time and I hear a turkey gobble on the roost, and that old turkey flies off the roost, gets with some hens. A lot of people go home. They don't sit there with him and listen at him, try to keep up with him. What I like to do is try to figure out which direction he's going, and then about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, I like to head in that direction and doing some sort of power type calling, cutting and carrying on and making that turkey answer. A lot of times what's happened, that old hen has slipped away from him, and buddy, he's sitting up there lonesome. And when you get him to answer you with that high-powered calling, maybe a cutting sound like this, like, if he answers that, put that little soft call to him and call him up. You know, in high-pressured gobblers, in henned-up gobblers, there's one thing you got to keep in mind. You have got to have a lot of patience.
Now, let's return to more hunting action as we join Walter Parrott on a Kentucky hunt. Earlier, Walter had tried to call some gobblers off the hens without success. Now it's around 11:30, and after changing locations, Walter is hoping the hens have left the gobblers. He decides to set up and try again. Walter likes to mix his calling up in a situation like this. The Silver Queen and his select cutter are a good combination and sound like different hens. As you can see, these turkeys slipped in without making a sound. That's why it's so important to have your gun ready should this ever happen to you. Spring has arrived in central Kentucky, where the Knight Hale team is hunting with country music entertainer John Michael Montgomery. These guys are on John's farm, where he and Harold have been after a flock of turkeys since they came off the roost.
That came from that Cloverfield. Man.
Harold knows turkeys usually make a big circle, and John has a good idea where the birds are headed. Figuring out a turkey's route is important during early season when the birds are bunched up.
This road leads all around. Where'd it go?
This goes to another small clover field I had in the middle of the road. And matter of fact, they could probably come across that ridge where that clover field is over there and come up to this one. I think that's what they normally do. Why would you blow the hawk call instead of the owl call right now?
Well, this is up to date. It's 10 o'clock. You ain't heard many owls holler lately. And this time of year, your hawks are very, very vocal. They nesting too. And it's nothing uncommon to hear a hawk scream out. And that high-pitched sound is what makes turkeys gobble.
Well, a lot of people will use the crow call instead.
I love a crow call too.
So is this something new there?
This is something new, and I'm going to give you this before I go. This is a brand new call.
It works pretty good.
You ain't joking. It's easy to blow. Let's go up here and get this turkey.
There he is right there. He's in that clover field coming this way.
Oh, that's pretty right there. We need to go up here and set up on that.
Okay. Well, there's a bunch of thicket trees to the right up here.
Okay. That's just the right side, too. Boy, this is the right time of day.
Yeah.
You can come to a place like this.
Well, they strut from here. I've seen them in here before. Okay. And so if you're saying they make a turn, they're probably coming from there straight over here.
Let's give the answer one more time. You listen now. Listen.
I'm gonna have to. You have to give me that call before the day's up.
You can have it after you kill the turkey. Now we heard that turkey right over that field right there. Now how far do you think away he is?
I don't know. He's another ridge over. You go down this ridge and the woods cuts back to the right, and then when you go up there's that big clover field that we saw him strutting in. So that's probably 200 or 300 yards at least.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I believe we can call a turkey right here. Now, he answered that hawk call.
Yeah.
It's up in the day. It's 10:30. This is the time of day I told you. If we got on those turkeys early this morning, I said we might get them up in the day.
Yeah,
let's set up right here. And I want you to take that box call, and I'll take a mouth call, and by gosh, we'll just do some calling and see if we can call them up here.
Do you think they'll come from that ridge over to this ridge?
I'll tell you what. It looks like to me
They're probably heading this way. Huh?
That's what this morning it was. And that's the reason I say I sit here and don't try to get any closer. Let's don't
They're making that circle you were talking about.
That's exactly right. Let's don't take a chance letting them see us. Let's sit up.
Okay, that sounds good.
Although an airplane's noise is interfering with the natural sounds of spring, you can listen close and hear this old gobbler drumming hard.
Shoot him, John. Shoot him.
Slick, I couldn't hold on.
John, 45 minutes ago, old turkey answered that hawk call. Here we're on the way back to the cabin.
I tell you, I just started the turkey hunting last year when I bought this place, and I knew we had some on here. Of course, I come close last year, but this is the first time I finally got one. I appreciate you getting my first turkey for me.
I can tell you one thing, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, you did good. You don't look like a rookie turkey hunter to me. You sat still and you could handle the gun.
Chuck and longtime friend Warren Ratcliffe are hunting Missouri with Galen Thibodeau on his private farm. They worked a gobbler earlier, but hens led him away. 2 hours later, the old bird started gobbling on his own, a good sign he's lost those hens.
If he's quite that far, I think we may be closer to him than that. He's right on the other side of that ridge over there.
We down in this bottom, man. We got two ridges on this side, so.
Yeah, there's a little narrow hollow there, and he'll be on the other side of it, maybe. Oh, yeah. He's up on that. There's a big old hillside up around the corner there, and he's up on that hillside. And
Why don't we go on up this bottom? We can stay under the edge of that hill right there and get on it, can't we? Get set up right there.
I would say he'd come down off that point and come down this bottom.
Yeah, let's get that one.
Now is when a close setup and a few hen sounds from the Silver Queen could be productive.
Yeah.
Listen to the jakes' calking yelp as they respond to the strutting of this old bird.
easy challenge when we first set up on the bird this morning that he's right under the hill from us and just wouldn't, you know, come up the hill to us there.
I think he had some hens with him then.
I believe he did. Like I said, we worked on him 2.5, 3 hours before we got him to work.
Right.
Once the hens were gone, then he took a little more interest in what we were doing.
Let's join Chuck Jones for another turkey hunting tip, brought to you by the Magnum Sportsman by High Tech.
We hunt a lot of different states, 10, 12, 15 states a year. And no matter where we're hunting, we have to understand what the land's like that we hunt in. We move into an area, say for example, we've never hunted. First thing we're going to do probably is get a topo map, try to figure out as much about that area as we possibly can. Topo maps are available from the Corps engineers. Anybody can buy them, you can order them. They tell you a lot about an area. Let's briefly look at this map. First of all, on this map, it'll show you where roads go, trails, creek drainages. I'm going to refer to this area of the map quite often. It shows you how the ridges lay. It shows you how steep the terrain is in ridges. All of this is very crucial to every turkey hunter. All right, looking at this area, you can see these old fields running down. Every one of them have creek drainages in them. Then down here are some more fields that run up. Here's creek drainages running up. And looking at this map, you can see an old road or a walking trail going across that cuts in between all these drainages. This shows that there's a very definite main ridge that runs through this area. And here's exactly what a turkey hunter would look for in this area. He's looking for an old road, probably a logging road they accessed timber in and out of years ago, and a walking trail going right on down through it. These are great areas to turkey hunt in. It's very important to know where the hens are during every phase of the turkey season. When you find the hens, believe me, you will find the gobblers. All right, if I was going to scout this area, I'd go into these old fields and I'd walk them along these creeks. I'd look for dust sites mainly. When I find dust sites, that tells me, especially during the nesting time, that hens are in that area, and wherever the hens are, the gobblers are going to be. All these white areas, by the way, are fields. Here's a little field right on top of this main ridge that he can walk to and he can gobble. He can see and be seen, and he can call hens from both of these areas. Then he can move from this area over to this point of this ridge. He can do the same thing, try to call hens up. Gobblers, as Harold and David always says, he likes to pick a place to strut in where he can see and where he can be seen. That's very important to him. This turkey may make a half-a-mile track around here, stopping on 4 or 5 different points or ridges, gobbling in areas where he thinks hens are nesting, trying to call hens up. This area that this gobbler travels may only be a half-a-mile, but to him it's an all-day track trying to find hens. To come in and hunt this area, several ways you can hunt it. You need to hunt it depending on the phase and the transition of the turkey and the hunting pressure. If it's a highly pressured area, which this is a public area that I'm referring to, most times there's going to be a lot of hunting pressure in it. I'm going to ease around in there and I'm going to set up on the points, these ridges. I'll take this map and pick me 5 or 6 different places. I'll walk down, I may cut, see if I can get a hot turkey going. If I can't, I'll sit down and do some soft calling in an area that I think he could be coming to strut in. Scouting is the most important thing you can do in season and out of season. And if you do enough of it, you get a topo map and learn your area, I promise you it'll make you a much better turkey hunter.